The Geometry Dash community has always been very passionate about its top 1 hardest levels, but when 2.2 released, everything changed with the addition of Platformer mode, which is so radically different than the normal version of the game, known as Classic mode now, that it has its own sub-community and its own demon list. Now, these hardest levels for Platformer mode haven't received as much attention as the hardest levels for Classic mode, such as Tidal Wave and Eternus. However, some of these are very, very cool and have a lot of work put into them, and others just really want to be the guy, I guess. Today I'm going to go over the new Platformer top 1 that will be verified by npesta, known as Cave of the Scarlet Sky, as well as Dawn, which is an upcoming mega project set to be the hardest ever platformer level, with some huge names involved such as Nycrodox and CuLuC. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as we're only a couple hundred away from 30,000 subscribers. It helps out the channel a ton and you'll see more content like this. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Yuko, the creator of Vehemence and the current hardest platformer level, the Abyss, has also recently created another upcoming platformer top 1 currently being verified by npesta, known as Cave of the Scarlet Sky. And it's no easy feat compared to the hardest extreme demons in Classic mode. npesta has already spent over 50,000 attempts verifying the level, and the level does actually go over a range of skills other than just very precise robot jumps, including jetpack, which is by far one of the hardest parts of platformer mode to get adjusted to. To be honest, I think a npesta verification would go very hard, and given his very high credibility and status within the community, it would definitely give a boost to recognition of platformer top 1s that they very much need, especially considering that the top platformer demon space is currently sort of occupied almost completely by just harder versions of I Wanna Be the Guy, which we will get into more later. And honestly, I really like the idea of having npesta verify a top 1, even if it's a platformer level, because a lot of the verifications that he's known for, such as obviously Kinos, were never really given the same recognition that we usually give to top 1s, so seeing him verify an actual top 1, which would also boost the popularity of the platformer demon scene, seems really, really cool to me, and I wish npesta the best of luck on verifying this absolute monstrosity. I also do think that in terms of decoration, Cave of the Scarlet Sky is pretty decent. I think the decoration standards for platformer mode are very different to what I'm used to for Classic mode, and for that reason, I'm not entirely sure how I should judge platformer mode levels. I think overall it looks pretty decent. There are some things I would probably clean up, like some of the saws and stuff look kind of messy, but overall it still looks pretty cool to me, and we're also still in a pretty early age of 2.2 anyways. This is an entirely different feature that we have never seen the likes of before added to the game, so yeah, I don't really see a reason to criticize a platformer level that looks fine anyways, and also isn't literally just I wanna be the guy again. But speaking of extremely concise robot timings, that brings up an issue with top platformer extreme demons already, in that a lot of them are pretty much just very difficult versions of I Wanna Be the Guy, to the point where almost every upcoming platformer top 1 is just a bunch of very difficult robot timings with some sort of effect or weird block design throughout the entire level, and that's kind of it. It feels a little bit like the platformer equivalent of a Red and Black Hell level that is using the song At the Speed of Light and has the word blood in the title somewhere, which seems like a very oddly specific comparison, but if you really think about it, the idea of having only very difficult robot jumps with a pretty similar structuring to I Wanna Be the Guy is also pretty specific. I think Mindcap's take on the whole thing does a really good job summarizing it. Also, is this me, or is the extreme demon scene in platformers so fucking boring and repetitive? Like, please for once make extremes that aren't some I Wanna Be the Guy-esque robot bullshit, it's so samey. Which is, I think, pretty valid criticism, although to be fair, the idea of platformer extreme demons are still in their infancy, and for maybe a little bit we're probably going to just see people kind of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And right now that just seems to be really hard robot timings and some sort of like I Wanna Be the Guy structure of a level. And while I don't think it's necessarily like a big issue or anything like that now, I could see this becoming more and more of an issue that more and more people are very tired of as we get further and further into 2.2 and we see more creators with interesting ideas for their top 1 platformer levels potentially being overshadowed by I Wanna Be the Guy Unleashed X or something. And don't get me wrong, I Wanna Be the Guy is still a really interesting level to me, but that's because it was the first of its kind, and the more and more of these that we see, the less interesting they get. Like 9 Circles was cool because it was a new effect that people didn't really see the likes of ever before, and it played with new mechanics in 1.9 that people didn't really expect. And then Fairy Dust was kinda cool because it was that but purple, and then after that nobody cared. That doesn't mean that those other 1.9 9 Circles levels are bad. I mean, they're bad for other reasons, which is all of their gameplay is usually ass, but that's not the point. It just means they aren't as exciting or interesting as other levels could also be gaining attention in the community. The Cave of the Scarlet Sky, which, you know, uses other modes like jetpack and whatnot, or something incredible, which I think is a pretty decent segue into Dawn. Dawn, one of the coolest things I have ever seen done in this game. Somehow I didn't get anything about Dawn on my recommended, so this is my first exposure to it, and it looks magnificent. It has some huge names in it such as CuLuC and Microdox, and when I saw that it was a platformer project, I wasn't really going into it expecting too much, but oh my gosh, the decoration in this is not only really high quality, but it's also extremely unique in its structure, and just overall does something completely different with the platformer mode that we haven't seen before, which is the exact kind of idea that I was really hyped about before 2.2 came out. I'm also pretty sure this level has a good amount of lore considering what we've gotten so far in the snippets and previews of the level. Like, Microdox's entire part takes place on a TV screen, but it's like an analog TV screen, and CuLuC's part has something about a giant eyeball, which to me seems like it's sort of a reference to Seraphim or some sort of biblically accurate angel. Comparing this level to pretty much any other platformer level that we've gotten in the Extreme Demon scene with that section of the community is almost impossible. It's so completely different from anything I've seen done with the platformer game mode before, and so far it seems like the level's being executed pretty well. Like, the level of detail in this part is insane to me. It's absolutely wild. Like, I was going into this expecting like some pixel blocks and I don't know, maybe a game mode that isn't the robot if we're lucky. It's also meant to, I think, be one of the longest platformer levels because pretty much the way this level is structured is that everyone's part is kind of like one or two rooms and I want to be the guy, except it's elaborated on because not everyone follows the exact same format, which makes it much more fresh and interesting, and each part is themed at least differently to some extent. Like, this part is just, how do I say this without YouTube getting mad at me? Seaweed. It's seaweed themed. And I'm pretty sure this is like an actual part in the level, which is hilarious. Honestly, I think what I really like about this level is it feels like a huge gauntlet of different challenges made by different people, which is a theme that works very well with a level this incredibly long. And think about it like this. The level already seems to be extremely long in terms of just showcases. There's a few like compilations on YouTube of different parts in the level that reach higher than like 8 or 9 minutes. And that's just a showcase where someone's already botted the level and has done most of the work, meaning that there's a lot less hesitation and waiting in between each jump as a lot of people who play platformer would do. So the actual winning attempt of one of these would probably take a lot longer. Seriously, if you do have some time, I would recommend checking out some of the parts in this level. They're absolutely amazing. One problem is this probably won't be done for a hot second. I'm pretty sure we don't even know how long this level is meant to be exactly anyways, so honestly it could be a while, and even then it would still take quite some time for this to get verified. I think it'd also be super fun if npesta verified this as well. A version of events where npesta becomes the Zoink of platformer mode would be absolutely insane, which I would honestly be down for. Let's just hope that we don't get a platformer version of Space UK. So yeah, that's it for today's video. If you did enjoy, please remember to like and subscribe, how's the channel, a ton, blah blah blah. I mean, we're really close to 30,000. I wanted to cover this for a little bit, and it's really a topic that I think is super interesting, so if you guys want to see more videos on it, please let me know down in the comments, especially maybe something more of a deeper dive into Dawn, because I think that level as a whole is extremely interesting. This video kind of goes into it a little bit, because it's also talking about Scarlet Sky and the whole I want to be the guy trope, so there's much more there that I wouldn't be able to get into in this video. If you would like to join my Discord server, the link is in the description, and yeah, thank you all so much for watching. It really does mean a lot, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!